This is moments later as they listen to me document the P.O.C. and the planes continue to fly over. It's January 4th. As I've captured them, helicopters flying over me as I walk to Upland Library, planes flying over me as I walk to Starbucks. They follow at all moments, and right now I'm at FERN and G, and this is the same stalking conduct. This is the same invasion of privacy. This is the same surveillance conduct, and engaging in flying behind this vehicle, flying over this vehicle, flying around this vehicle at a ceaseless rate. It's 7:01 p.m. It's January 4th, and again, it's moments after I just made that previous video of them, which is again just a snippet of what is a consistent documentation of the state's stalking conduct. This is the theme that is the main basis upon which I am forwarding my documentation showing the existence of a system of stalking. This is the exact reason why the state is engaged in such stalking, because there is a system that I became aware of, that I started to document, and this made me a targeted individual on the part of the state. Law enforcement has provided ample evidence to that effect as well, and they are stalking via aircraft, which is it serves the purpose of seeking to make illegitimate any claims of a targeted individual who becomes aware. So this is the evidence of the system itself, and what I am showing is that the state is actively engaged in that documentation, in that conduct. This is stalking, this is surveillance, this is monitoring and invasion of privacy. And it's 7:02, it's January 4th, 2020, and again, the low elevation over which they are flying over this street, this is a residential street, FERN and G Street. This is consistent with the same stalking, surveillance, monitoring, and invasion of privacy that they have engaged in at every other place that I have documented the identical conduct. Also, the rate at which they are engaged in flying over, in addition to the fact that they change their conduct based on what they are listening to me. For example, moments earlier when I was engaged in reaching Okay, it's 7:34 p.m. It's January 4th, 2020, and I have captured, again, the primary element and what I have documented, which is a state-organized system of stalking and harassment, where a main component is the state's unlawful search and theft of electronic personal information that resides in a communication device. And again, the means by which the state is engaged in such conduct at this point is through stalking and harassment. Stalking by means of following, pursuing, and surveilling. So they are engaged in surveillance and harassment at this point, where I remain inside of a vehicle at FERN and G. At 7:34 p.m., what I'm noting with regard to the state-organized system of stalking and harassment, a main component of which is the theft of electronic information. So I want to logically lay all this out. What I am documenting inside of the vehicle right now at 7:34, as I sit inside this vehicle that is facing north on FERN, straight north of FERN is, I'm not far from the corner, is G Street, which runs east and west. Vehicles are engaged in driving parallel to the location of this car as they drive past, north and south as they turn on FERN. And again, they are engaged in P.O.C. in doing so. That is relevant positioning, and they do so in simultaneity with my movement and or activity. Nonverbal communication is used outside. In harassment, the nonverbal communication is through the airplanes. They engage in roaring. That's nonverbal communication with the third parties that are engaged in sitting in their vehicles, standing around this car, sitting in their car in the middle of the street, sitting in their car parked in front or behind or next to adjacent. It is relevant positioning for them to do such. Nonverbal communication is pursuant to that ongoing monitoring and search. There are multiple nonverbal communication is used by any means. These I am just pointing out the ways in which they engage in that nonverbal communication, and this is what I observed as I am outdoors inside of a vehicle where I remain. So this is surveillance. This is why it is legally relevant what I'm spelling out that the state is engaged in. Third parties are engaged in acting in concert with that state that is stalking and surveilling and monitoring. They do so by consistently engaging in relevant positioning. An element in this system for the search for the unlawful theft of electronic information, which is a component in this system that I'm documenting, is the element of light, and what I have termed as enhanced light tactics. Where you have light, artificial and or natural light from the sun that satisfies the element. What I have documented is the use of enhanced light tactics, which is characterized, it has become a signature of the state as it listens to me document the P.O.C. There is sparking and flashing of light that is everywhere, and it is as real as are the airplanes that are engaged in stalking me, which I also have proof of. The whole malice behind this system is intended to make illegitimate the claims of a targeted individual. I have proof that the state is engaged in stalking, and what I am showing are the elements that are at play with regard to this system. As the third parties engaged in relevant positioning by driving past this vehicle, which is deliberate with regard to their participation in concerted action with the state because of the fact that this is a system, it is not individualized. The targeted individual does not have a responsibility to pick the specific individual that's engaged in some unlawful act. It is a system at large. The state is engaged in stalking and surveillance, and the people of the state of California are acting in concert. There are elements that are at play that make this system feasible, and one of those elements are light. Enhanced light tactics are what I am specifically documenting as of 7:34 p.m. It is a repetitious occurrence. This is the unlawful conduct on the part of third parties that are acting in concert with the state that is engaged in the criminal conduct of stalking and the unlawful theft of electronic information. So as third parties drive past going north and south, which again, I have evidence of the location of this vehicle, I have evidence of the harassment that I suffer inside of this vehicle, also inside of my vehicle, not only at Vine and G, but also on other locations where I was parked. It is fully substantiated in my documentation in multiple forms. So what I have is that there is no happenstance, there's no chance, there is no randomness to this. What I am showing is the occurrence of a system that is occurring at every moment, not only at every moment, but at every place, including where I remain, legally significantly termed as surveillance. And this search occurs right where I remain. This is why the planes are engaged in stalking conduct right where I remain. That is not just a happenstance, that is a legally relevant element in the system that I continue to document. Third parties are engaged in driving north and south past this vehicle, and as they do so, it is nightfall, and at 7:34, also at 7:38 right now, they drive past, and again, I also have proof of this state of this car. Okay, so all the circumstances under which that this light activity is occurring is relevant. The location of this car is relevant. The conduct that the vehicles are engaged in while they are driving past is relevant, all to prove the occurrence of what I have termed as light activity, which is an element in that search. And so as they drive past, it's not their headlights, they are directing light into this car because, again, driving past, which is easily provable, is not resulting in the movement of light inside of this car in a horizontal manner, whereas they are driving past parallel to the position of this car. It is light activity. It takes on a radiant, richer texture and concentration than that which would occur from reflection, I guess, is supposed to be the appearance of which. What I am showing is that upon dissection of the facts and circumstances, it is readily provable, but that is not the case. What it is P.O.C. with regard to the element of light and an ongoing search for electronic information. And as I document the P.O.C., the state is listening to me. The third parties are engaged in listening to me. An invasion of privacy, which is highly relevant and evident based on my documentation. The state has provided me ample proof of their listening to me, engaging in real-time reaction. When I name conduct, they immediately engage in it again. They duplicate it for me. They try to contradict it. They engage in analogous conduct. These are the different ways that they are demonstrating that they are actively listening to me document the P.O.C. And in addition to that, it follows that a state that is engaged in stalking via aircraft is not only capable but willing to invade in the privacy. This is a common element. This is natural. This is required in order for the existence of the state to engage in this state organized system of electronic information that they are seeking to systematically search for and steal. And so what I'm showing on the inside of this car is, and why it is legally relevant, is that as third parties, as I have termed them, third parties because they are servants of the state that is engaged in unlawful conduct, and they are engaging in conduct that is serving that criminal purpose. And they do that by systematically engaging in relevant positioning, and they are simultaneously achieving that purpose. While they drive past, that's relevant positioning. That's called crossing path. And they are also engaged in directing light into this car. That's an enhanced light tactic. These are the elements that are at play. And as each vehicle engages in it, and it is readily provable based on the unnatural position of the light, the unnatural light activity, which is not going to result as cars drive past, north or south, past this vehicle, where they are traveling parallel to the position of this car, and where the light is moving in a horizontal manner inside of the portion of the vehicle, of the window that is open, because it is substantially covered, all the windows, including items that are that are placed in front of the side view mirrors, which will also add additional blockage. It's so not only is it satisfying the elements as I have identified them simultaneously. You're talking about crossing path. You're talking about the fact that we're outside. You're talking about the each third party representing a communication device, in addition to the airplanes that are engaged in stalking and surveillance, in addition to the light activity. So this is not a happenstance. What I am showing is the consistency of the system that is in place as I sit outside inside of a vehicle. This is legally relevant as surveillance. This is showing also that not only the feasibility, but the recurring system that occurs at all times, at all moments. And the airplanes engaged in stalking, law enforcement engaged in stalking, this is the means by which they are ensuring that is able to occur at all times. It's 7:43 p.m., and so the significance of what I'm documenting is that as I remain in the car, as I'm inside of the car, not only is there a consistent and ongoing ceaseless invasion of privacy listening to me, so this is what provides the timing of dropping and throwing items at this vehicle that I'm inside of. This is what provides the roaring of the airplanes that are engaged in nonverbal communication as well, with the third parties that are engaged in planting themselves around this vehicle, much like they do inside of Starbucks, much like they do at every other place where they are driving past. It's not just randomness. It is randomness in so far as it doesn't matter who it is, because it's a system. It's not individualized. Each one is engaged in that same mutual conduct. And that is hence my description of a system. And my documentation establishes that. So it's 7:44 p.m. It's January 4, 2020. And this is the system on the 7:56 p.m. That was simultaneous with my documentation of the small portion of the window whereby light is being horizontally directed into this front portion of the window that is not covered by a blanket. It's a small portion of the window. That is where they are directing light into the car. It is not a natural occurrence of headlights driving north or south. This is not new. This is habitual. This is part of the system. I'm just documenting an element. I'm documenting it actively occurring as of January 4, 2020. Again, that's a real-time reaction. The two vehicles that at the same time I'm documenting that P.O.C, they engage in driving past. They both drove south parallel to my position on this car at FERN and G. So they're driving south on FERN past this car, and again, bright, rich, concentrated white light shoots horizontally through the window, and it hits the passenger side of this car. This is also inconsistent with regard to the activity as it occurs. Cars that are engaged in substantially similar conduct by driving in the same position, north or south, where this car has not changed position, it has not moved, is not going to result in substantially different positions of light inside of the car, irrespective of whether it being a truck or a car or a Prius or smart car. You're talking about rapidly different light activity, light location. And again, that is pursuant to the invasion of privacy, where they engage in real-time reaction, adjusting to what I critique of what are largely asinine and unsophisticated and unintelligent efforts to engage in criminal conduct. And I verbally narrate the P.O.C very often, and I point out inconsistencies, and what the state is engaging in, what the third parties engage in, is in real-time reaction. What I term it as is adjusting and changing it. It is clearly evidence based on the light activity as it occurs. It changes inside of the car, which again is also inconsistent with that which would ordinarily and naturally occur based on some alleged reflection of headlights inside of this car, where it's substantially covered by blankets when they're driving north and south, where there are items placed where the side view mirrors are located, where the light is shooting horizontally inside of the car, where it is rich, concentrated white light that is not a reflection. In many ways, it is not. It is clearly shown that it's not headlights, number one, but also based on, because it's counterintuitive, it defies nature, defies the natural order of things, defies common sense, and all you have to do is pay attention to the details. But it is also P.O.C. with regard to their real-time reactions, the change in light activity that occurs inside of this car as I document it and as I continue to observe it. With regard to the difference in the light activity inside of the car, it is inconsistent with where they are engaging and driving in the same direction on the street, each different vehicle, but yet there are different light activity as I observe it inside of this car. Even as I sit inside of this car and document in real time at 7:58 p.m., flashing light on the side of this passenger side, like a line of light on the side of this passenger seat. I'm sitting inside the vehicle. I'm documenting it verbally. They listen to me, and this is what I mean by the ubiquitous presence of the flashing light as I identified it as such. I have created a nomenclature for the P.O.C. They listen to me document the P.O.C. And so as I have termed it sparking flashing light, specifically with regard to third parties and their communication devices, they engage in duplicating that conduct. It is something that I have fully substantiated with regard to light conduct, especially inside of the facilitating venue of Starbucks, the walls of light that are certainly not a natural reaction, a natural result of light, but particularly based on where I am sitting and the activity of that light. That is a consistent theme that I am also documenting inside of this vehicle, in addition to the fact that I has also, as is necessary when you are engaged in the system of state-organized stalking and harassment, where you are also engaged in monitoring, you are engaged in invasion of privacy. And based on their listening to me documenting, again, you're talking at 7:58 p.m. What I'm showing is on my right side, inside of the vehicle, a line of flashing light where there's no car driving past. There's no plane either that I can hear, at least. But there is light that was hitting the seat. You can hear it right to my right. While I'm engaged in verbally narrating the P.O.C., the state is listening to me. They engage in real-time reaction. They engage in expressing hostility. They engage in seeking to adjust that which I critique, because it is unintelligent and it is ridiculous, the efforts that they go to. But I am aware of what is occurring, and all I am doing is pointing out the elements that exist with regard to the unlawful search and theft of electronic information, because that is what it is pursuant to. These other asinine, like the flashing of light near my communication device, this is what they are after. But it is also something that is designed to harass the target individual that is engaged in documenting the state, that is engaged in criminal conduct. It has a criminal multi-purpose, and the state and the third parties engaging in that conduct, such as continuing to fly over when I'm documenting them engaged in stalking surveillance, the third parties engaging in crossing path and directing light into this car when I am engaged in documenting the very conduct and the ways in which it defies common sense. Those are acts that are with regard to pursuant to P.O.C. with regard to harassment. It is pursuant to their invasion of privacy. It is pursuant to the ongoing search, but it is also pursuant to their hostility to my documenting that which is criminal conduct. It's January 4th, it's 2020, it's 8:02 p.m., and I am inside of the car. And again, what's significant about this is what I am showing with regard to the consistency that exists, the elements that remain present at all times. This is what a targeted individual is experiencing. These enhanced light tactics, though, however, are not typically what are necessary. I am one that is engaged in openly documenting what the state is engaged in. And so I am experiencing and documenting a heightened, extraordinary level of hostility, of aggression, of harassment, and seeking to torment and or terrorize and threaten the targeted individual. And the system itself is inherently so. It is designed to depict the target individual as one suffering from some mental incapacity by virtue of stalkers that are strangers. That's designed to make a targeted individual that alleges it to look appear crazy. The fact that airplanes are engaged in stalking, surveillance, and monitoring, that again is another aspect of the same system, designed to depict that targeted individual that alleges it as one suffering from a mental incapacity. Third-party insiders, those who know the targeted individual, those who the target individual thought that they know, are poised to substantiate such malicious and defamatory claims about a targeted individual, claiming those things. And so it's 8:02 p.m. and again, the significance of my documentation is what I have inside while I sit inside this car. Third party driving north past this car. Again, they're traveling parallel, and what there is, while there are blankets, again, significant blankets covering the windows, small squares of light that are traveling north, same direction the car is driving, traveling north on the passenger side of this car. White concentrated light. Again, that is totally not a product of any headlight. It's not even intended to take on that appearance either. That is, again, pursuant to the same P.O.C. of harassment, pursuant to the same hostility and antagonism that I experience because I am documenting the state that's engaged in criminal conduct and third parties that are engaged in acting in concert with that state. That is a stalker that is engaged in surveillance, monitoring, and invasion of privacy and seeking out and stealing electronic information. Again, a square light. It was white concentrated light on the passenger side of this car. So I'm sitting facing the front of the car, which is facing north. And it's to my right inside of the car, and so that's while I'm engaged in documenting. That's P.O.C. right there. Again, pursuant to the invasion of privacy, pursuant to the harassment, pursuant to the ongoing hostility to my engaging it as such and documenting it as such. It's 8:05 p.m. And again, just to reiterate, the light activity inside of the vehicle. This is directly in line with, number one, the presence of the airplanes that are consistently engaged in stalking and surveillance. This is consistently in line with that which I document inside of facilitating venues, light activity that I've already named as well, actually. So it is 8:05 p.m. All the elements remain present, and what's significant really is the fact that the search is ongoing at all times. That's what this is probative of. That's what is consistent about my documentation. Not only that it exists, not only the elements that are present to that system, but the feasibility and seamless manner in which it occurs. So it is also, not only is it possible, this is a matter of public corruption, because what I am showing is that it is crimes, it is a matter of public corruption, that third parties are acting in concert with the state that is engaged in criminal conduct, and they are knowingly doing so, and it is through conduct that is out in the open, it is in your face, it is corruption that is hiding in plain sight, as I've termed it. That's exactly the significance of it. And so it's 8:06 p.m. It's January 4th, 2020, and I am inside of the car on FERN and G, and so this is a matter of surveillance. This is a matter of the planes that follow me everywhere and back to the car. This is a matter of third parties that are engaged in the P.O.C. as I am inside of the car. This is relevant to the invasion of privacy that is inherent in this system as well. Okay, that's it. Okay, it's 9:14 p.m., January 4th, 2020, and again, I've taken different snippets of documentation in different forms. And so, again, as I've already stated is the case, this is just documentation reiterating that which the state engages in. And so, as I am inside of the vehicle, following my documentation that they listen to me engage in, they listen to me document the conduct that they are engaged in, they listen to me document the third parties that are acting in concert with them, they repeat that conduct, and that also shows that they're listening to me as well. But what I want to speak specifically to is the harassment and the ongoing stalking, which again, you're talking 9:10 p.m. The helicopter, the airplanes swarming over this car, as they listen to me get under the blanket, they listen to me turn on my headphones. So, I mean, they're listening to me do everything. I'm just painting a picture of that which I've already documented and that which the state and the third parties, because they are all listening. It is a system that the targeted individual is subject to an expansive invasion of privacy at every place that they go. Nonverbal communication is pursuant to that.
third parties and the state are engaged in using nonverbal communication. The sirens, the airplane roaring, third parties making clamor, using their car horns outside, for example, closing their car doors, for example, inside slamming stuff for no reason, dragging furniture. Those are just examples of the manners in which they engage in nonverbal. It could be by any means. What I've documented and what I am documenting right now, it's 9:16 p.m., but for over the past 20 minutes or so since I've been in the car, and this is consistent with what I've already stated is the case, the state is hostile. The state is antagonistic. It is highly aggressive. It is engaged in threatening and engaged in highly threatening behavior and targeting behavior, throwing items at this car, and engaged in increased what I was specifically documenting was the targeted light, for example, the third parties. And as soon as I finished that documentation, series of cars continue. It is something that is ceaselessly occurring, but what I have noted based on my documentation, based on my identification of the criminal acts specifically by elements, again, the state engages in duplicating and repeating it as I document it. It is the most fascinating thing with regard to documenting a state that's engaged in crime. It is exceedingly hostile and very angry. Basically, it's not funny. But there's no other way to put it. And so what I want to make sure that I include in my documentation is the fact that as I'm inside of this car, as I already stated earlier today in my documentation, as I've already stated prior to today, January 4th, 2020, the state is engaged in flying directly over this car, throwing items on this car as I'm in the car, under the blankets, laying down, going to sleep, and it is a direct reaction to what they're listening to me document about their criminal acts. It is a direct reaction to that, and in the same way that the third parties following my documentation, following them listening to me document their P.O.C, the P.O.C, with regard to light activity, they proceed to engage in more of it as I document it, and that is P.O.C as to harassment. It's also with regard to the invasion of privacy. And I just want to state that I've already stated that as the case, but I just want to make sure I specifically include another snippet of this documentation today, January 4, 2020, as I'm in the car. And the helicopters, the airplanes engage in hovering over this car, flying around, flying over very low in proximity in order to be substantially that is to communicate a threat, number one, but also to create a substantial disturbance, i.e. harassment, and flying very loud over the car. All of this is intentional, of course. I'm just making sure I specifically describe what the experience is as I continue to document the state's conduct. And this is all relevant with regard to their knowledge of my documentation. So these are direct reactions to that, and that is why it is relevant. It's 9:19 p.m. I'm inside of the car, and so, again, items being dropped in the car, as I'm changing into what I'm going to sleep in, listening to me as I'm engaging in that conduct, dropping items on the car as I'm on this phone engaged in documentation, heavy items, not from the tree just dropping like a leaf or something. They're dropping heavy items on the car. This is the same thing that they do when I'm engaged in documentation or when they are listening to me go to sleep. So this is all highly consistent, and this is just my documentation of more of the same. And I want to point out that it is a direct reaction by the state and the third parties that are listening to me. That's the purpose of it, to communicate a threat, and also based on their hostility to what they're listening to me document about it. And that in of itself, again, is more proof of the exact system that I'm documenting. It's 9:20 p.m. It's January 4th, 2020. I'm inside of the car at FERN in G.